Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. I have joined a Trappist monastery. Not really, I've just got a stinking cold. Anyway, well, look, Zhilei Zhang against Agit Kabayel. I mean, how good of a matchup is that? And it's coming at us on the undercard of Bivol versus Beterbiev, the rematch. Yeah, as I've said before on previous videos, this is another undercard fight which could easily be a standalone contest. I think it's a fascinating matchup because you have got the 6'6", 41-year-old Zhilei Zhang, 27 wins with 22 KOs. The big bang, hits like a truck. 2 defeats and 1 draw. The draw, it was in 2021 against Jerry Forrest. A lot of people felt he lost that, although he did have Forrest down in each of the first 3 rounds. But then Forrest came on so strong in the 10-rounder that it was a majority draw. A lot of people felt he overturned the knockdowns and was beating the crap out of Zhang. And Zhang said he was very, very ill for that fight, which, okay, maybe he was ill, but no one forced him into the ring. But he kind of, I wouldn't say he proved it, but he put up a much better performance in 2022 against Filip Hrgovic. He lost a unanimous decision. Hrgovic was on the floor in round 1, but yeah, it was a good fight. It was a good fight, and one of those, again, people disputed that Hrgovic had won that fight, and Zhang was beginning at that point to look like a very good gatekeeper type for the elite, but then he fought Joe Joyce twice, stopped him on an eye injury in 6 rounds for a TKO. That was at the Copper Box, and then they had a Wembley Arena rematch same year, and he knocked Joe Joyce flat in 3 rounds. The previously iron-chinned Joe Joyce got absolutely done. And then he went on having, sort of rebuilt himself. By this point, of course, he was about 40 years old. Zhang then faced Joseph Parker, had him on the floor in the 3rd and the 8th round, and lost a majority decision. And I think Parker won that fight. I do. So it's, Zhang he blows hot and cold, doesn't he? And he has some very strong attributes, big punching power, very good boxing brain, boxes actually really beautifully for such a big man. He came back and knocked out Deontay Wilder, who was, I don't know what the fuck Wilder's doing at the moment, ever since he started getting trained by his mate, what's the guy's name? Malik Scott. You know what the joke is. Malik Scott succeeded in turning Deontay Wilder into Malik Scott. I kind of agree with that. Wilder's looked absolutely appalling against both Zhang and Parker. He's lost back-to-back fights. But so 5-round knockout at the hands of Zhang. What does that tell us about Zhang? He lost to Parker and then beat Wilder in the same year, so it was mixed fortunes in 2024. But now he faces Kabayel, Agit Kabayel, who's undefeated in 25 fights. And has 17 KOs, and he's 32 years old, so he's 9 years younger than Zhang. He's 6'3", so in the land of the giants in this modern age, he's not massively tall, but the Nusek's 6'3". It's not a short man, he's not a small man at all. He's coming off a 7th-round KO of Frank Sanchez, who did look injured, Sanchez did, with a bad knee injury, which might well have contributed to Kabayel's defeat. But there again, as I repeat what I said earlier, if you go into the ring injured, you can't blame anyone but yourself. You're not supposed to be in that ring if you're injured. And prior to that, Kabayel really had a coming-out party back in 2023 when he beat Arslanbek Makhmudov and beat the crap out of him. He had Makhmudov on the floor, was it 3 times? He stopped him in 4 rounds. Body punch, knockdowns. Very, very impressive against a guy who was undefeated at the time in 18 and strongly favoured to beat Kabayel. Kabayel is a former EBU champ, and he's been floating around for years. He's got like a 12-round decision win over Kevin Johnson, But, there's just nothing, nothing sprang out at you until he fought Makhmudov. And it wasn't just his skills, which were considerable. Where have you been hiding your light under a bushel? It is his mental strength going in there against someone who was considered to be a real sort of meat grinder for fighters, which was Makhmudov. And Kabayel didn't give a fuck. He just like, okay, I'm going to box you, box, give you angles. I'm going to hit you hard, and you're going to feel it. And my God, he did feel it. So those two victories for Kabayel, the Sanchez one was in 2024, mid 2024. Those are very good wins. However, he has been, I suppose you could say, the momentum that he picked up in his career, long overdue momentum, was in danger of petering out. So it's good that he's got this Zhang fight. And I think, looking at this, I mean, look, like I said earlier, Zhilei Zhang has very, very good feet for such an enormous man, and he hits very hard. And he's a very good boxer. He has a good ring IQ. But so does Kabayel. Now, Kabayel doesn't hit as hard as Zhang. Not many heavies do. But he hits hard enough to the body and the head, as we've seen. And he can do the whole, death by 1,000 cuts business, or he can put the heat on you with one punch to the body, as he proved with Makhmudov. And he was hurting Frank Sanchez as well. It's not necessarily one punch, but he's got some nice little, flowing combos once he finds his rhythm, and he controls the range very, very well. But here's the thing. Kabayel has, I think, a good gas tank. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, yeah, but the Sanchez fight was over in 7. The Arslanbek Makhmudov fight was over in 4. But if you go back to sort of 2019, 2021, he was winning 10 and 12 round decisions. And yeah, okay. I mean, he even won a majority decision over Derek Chisora back in 2017. That was an EBU title fight. That was in Monte Carlo, I think. Really boring fight, but so he's been doing this for a long, long time, and he's still only 32. So he's probably in his prime for a heavyweight. 32 is probably your prime, So I wonder about whether that's going to be a major issue, the gas tank thing. Now Zhang, I know, again, you should always flip any comment on its head and try and play devil's advocate. Zhang has, of course, been the distance with Parker. He's done the 12 with Hrgovic. He's done, the 10-round draw with Forrest, although he was just about out on his feet. Andrei Rudenko took him 10 rounds as well. But so you might say, well, yeah, he's proved he can do the distance as well. But no, it's Zhang. Yes, all right, he can last the distance, but he kind of sags after. I mean, sometimes he can look knackered after 2, 3, 4 rounds. And then he almost has to spend rounds waiting to get his second wind. And I mean, when you consider the size the man is, because he's a big old unit, and he's 41 years old. I know he's 6'6", but some of those weights, are bloody huge. He's been like 280 in the 280s and 290s, I think, for Joseph Parker. That's a big old lump. And so it shouldn't surprise anyone that he can't do 3 minutes of every round for 36 minutes for 12 rounds. It's just not going to happen. So I think that might be a factor. And I think that whereas people are concentrating a lot on Zhang's power, I don't think Kabayel is stupid enough to meet fire with fire in the early rounds. I think he will try and draw Zhang's sting. Zhang, by the way, is a southpaw. Kabayel is orthodox, but I don't think that will give him, too many problems. I think he'll be able to, to deal with Zhang and to stand off and be very, very conservative to start with, but then to sort of start turning the screw after maybe 4 rounds and start really getting on him. And also, I mean, I don't think we've seen the best of Kabayel either. I don't think we've seen. I think he's got other gears he can go through, because it struck me against both Sanchez and Makhmudov, he was fighting at his own pace and he had plenty of gas left in the tank. Whereas Zhang, even when he wins, he's shagged at the end of it. So, orthodox versus southpaw. I think we'll see a conservative Caballel in the first third of the fight, coming out of his shell, maybe around about the fourth round, starting to land more punches, hold his feet a bit more. Zhang will be coming forward, constantly trying to put the heat on him. Caballel will taste the power and think, okay, heavy hands, but nothing I haven't felt before. And then I think in the middle section of the fight, rounds 5 to 8, you'll see Caballel letting his hands go and putting, giving angles, slipping and sliding. He'll prefer to stay on the outside, mid-range. No, mid-range is a bit dangerous, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think it needs to be mid-range, to be honest. I think Zhang's dimensions are too big and he hits too hard. But I think Caballel will either want to be on the outside, or if he gets in close, he'll take little side steps, maybe a little semicircle. Make Zhang, who's such a big man, constantly reset himself and use his feet, carry all that weight around. But by the middle rounds, I think Caballel will be popping him quite, bang, bang. And yeah. And then I think in the last third of the fight, Caballel really takes over. And I can see him stopping Zhilei Zhang in about 10 rounds. I'll say the 10th round. I think Caballel will stop Zhilei Zhang. I think Zhang will run out of power, run out of gas. He'll have been hit constantly, not with any individual knockout punches, but he'll be feeling the pace, knackered at the end of it. Caballel will have a lot left in the tank. He'll have paced himself very beautifully. And he will, in the last third of the fight, unload. And then in the 10th round, I think Agit Kabayel will score a TKO over Zhilei Zhang. Wouldn't surprise me if his corner pulled him out, Zhang, either. So that's my prediction for this fight. Good heavyweight fight, good matchup. Do you agree with me? If not, comments below. Tell me why. If you do agree with me and you think I haven't mentioned anything, leave your comments below. And yeah, I wish this cold would go away. But yeah, we got some great boxing on Saturday. A ton of it. So comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button. You know the drill. And I'll catch you later. Bye for now.